Right, there we go. Okay, hello. It is Tuesday, 27th of the year 2026, January 2026. Never thought I'd live to see 2026. Boy, oh boy. Can you imagine? Can you imagine being old enough to remember when it was still the 1000s? 1900s? Anyhow, okay. Hiya. Welcome aboard. Hiya. Welcome aboard. Hiya, Tim. Okay, so I've gone through some different things in the last so many streams. Yesterday's stream, we put together, hold on, I'll pull it up. Got a lot of folders here. What a maniac. This is the page that we did in yesterday's stream. One of two. So, what this is that we took a whole bunch of individual scanned images. Each of these were their own scanned image, including that background. And we did each one, we assembled them into a page. Woohoo! So that is the same principle by which, so that we also did this one, by the way. So these are similar situations. So, except for this is flat image. These are assembling images, right? And then we've got a fun project for today. Well, what's that, Chris? Man, I'm glad you asked. As per the usual, if you've got one-page suggestions that you want to lay on me, please feel free to do so in the comments for this video or on any of the posts that I do on Instagram and Facebook. Anyhow, so I don't know what those hand signals were. All right, these are the scans that it took to get a 11 by 17 page scan in my scanner. It takes me 3 passes. So I'm going to switch to the screen itself, so it's going to be a little bit easier to see. Unless people would rather me draw a page. If you'd rather me draw a page, let me know. Okay, so here's our scanned image, all right? So this is what I have to do to assemble the pages that are too large, okay? So here's our first one. All right, we'll line them up. Here we go, bing, bong. So then we've got our second one. Oh, no, that's the first guy. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing and move him over and drop him, paste him into here. And you can see how it doesn't just automatically line it up. We're going to have to do that. Oh, such hard work. And then we'll pick up the last one, which is the third part of this image. And so I have to, you know, finagle these things into a flat image. I have to find where they connect, and then I overlap them and I clean it up. A story of your 10-year-old interests me. From new item to current situation, maybe once used by Corbin as a toy. My 10-year-old? I'm not sure what you mean by 10-year-old. Or me as a 10-year-old? That's a terrifying prospect. Okay, so I'm trimming the images on the sides because they get some coloring, right? So we're just going to, now that we've done that, we're going to see that I'll zoom in a little bit So you can see how our page 3 and our page 2 pretty fairly match up. And then now what we've got to make sure is that our page 2 and our page 1 match up. So there's a little bit of, I'm going to shift them just a teeny tiny bit. I'm on the wrong one. So here we are, number 2. So I think that has it. There we go. So now we got to go back to 3, and I touched the wrong one again. Silly person. So here we are back with 3. So there we are. Now all of our guys match up. I looked at them nice and close. So we can pull back. Oh my! Oh, the wiping rag I have. 10-year-old rag. Hold on, I'm just gonna. This is how good my my memory is. I gotta take a photo of my own screen. There we go. So yeah, I get what you're saying now. Yeah, that's some fun. So okay, I took a photo of it, so it's going in the book. All right. So the cloth. So I've got the 3 now lined up. I'm going to merge them as one. I'm going to duplicate the base layer just so that the white goes all the way to the outside edge now. And then we're going to do our good old marching ants, copy. Then we make a new screen under layers, paste, right? Marching ants again. And then we're going to invert that line back to our layers. New layer, black, shebang. And that was fun. Okay, so we got a black layer. We'll make another one. Kapow. Okay, and let's, hey, Chris, make one more. All right. Boom. How's that? All right, so let's take out this and drop in this. So you can see maybe what I'll do is this. And then we'll double this up. Duplicate that layer and see how dark that gets us. Oh, that's prettier. There we go. So we'll merge those. Yeah, I think I'll double this one more time. See, that I think is dark enough. Now, I've got a couple of things I want to try. Oops, move that down there and get rid of that one little extra layer we put in there. Okay, so now we've got line art from our original scan, which is way too bright and way too impossible to see. So now we got a line art version of it. So we don't need these bad boys anymore. So long, fellers. And one more. Goodbye. So there we are with our page. I'm going to put a layer underneath this. But we're going to do something different than just putting a color. These are, I took scans of a bunch of things that a friend online here, Yolanda, sent me last year of printed pages. Like, these are jelly plate images. So if I take this and I copy it and I put it in behind, see, I don't know what the whole hiccuping, I probably just got too many things open. So you can see it now. So I'll close some of our stuff. We're going to do these things in a second too. You don't need to be here. You don't need to be here. And you don't need to be here. And you don't need to be here. Okay. So, and we don't need you here now either because we got you. All right, so this is the jelly-plated image sent by Yolanda, one of many, and I scanned them because the tragedy of doing a page on a jelly-plated image is, well, you've done that now. Okay, so we can see it there. Now, there's a couple of things that we can try to do. Like we can even try to double up our lines, see if we can see it a little more clearly through there. Like that. So I think that's what we're going to settle on for our line art. There we go. So, hey, that's me. So there we go. So there's our composition as we've got it laid in with our background image. So that background can work as that dark blue value for the sky with some interesting bits of detail in there. So then as we go through and set up another layer above it, and I'm keeping it off for the time being, so this is all a little bit easier to see. And I'm highlighting some of the major areas in the page that will, help to guide us along in our story. And this crazy kid. Skiddly doodly doo. There he is. So this gives us a general idea of what we're going through and of like what we're coming up to in our image. So there we go. Okay. And then everything else that we can do is additional bits of wowzers, I'm just going to move up the image so it sits along. There. So here's our page. So we've got ourselves all set up for finishing up all of our imagery, and then of course we can do our text as well, but whoops, keep pressing the wrong button. There we are. Happy days. So just move this over one more little bit and then drag it back. There, see, so it sits over top of the art directly. It's tricky, right? Okay, there we go. So, yeah, so this looks like it would be a tragic space opera story. Maybe. I don't really have a story in mind for this thing. I just don't. But we'll figure it out as we go. So there's our page. We'll just go through and save it. And just go back and do something else for a second. But I just thought I'd show that, because what do you do if your image is too big for your scanner? You've got to assemble it together, overlapping one thing to the next. And then that's the way that you've got your finished line art drawing, so that you can work from there. So once this is done, getting all saved up, we'll look at a couple of these other things really quick, and then let's draw a new page. I think there's a page about the 10-year rag, once used by Corbin as a toy. Well, it wasn't never used by Corbin as a toy, but okay. So there's our page. I'm just going to make sure. Yeah, there it is. Woohoo! Okay, so we'll close him. This is just a scan of a sketch I did for a couple of paintings that were done. And yeah, so this is just a page where I've just scraped some paint. I jelly plated some paint on a piece of cardstock, and then I just scraped some colors over top of that. So, it's a good tip for not ruining prints you like and want to use. There you go, yeah. Digital claws using hand-drawn assets. Yep, indeed. Okay, so this is a scanned page that was done with black line art, or it was a colored pencil and then black line art over top of that, and then all the color that we put in here digitally gives it all kinds of pizzazz. Because sorry again, this is our line art, pretty basic, but when we drop that color in there, oh wow! So yeah, we're playing with some things. We're having some fun. Let's switch things up today, though. I used one of these recently, but we're gonna switch over the color and pull out a black one. These pages are 1 feet by 2 feet long, and just let me get this guy taped up, and we're gonna switch the camera. So yeah, all right. Welcome aboard, Fort Nag. Hey, welcome aboard, Liz. So we've got all these different things to put text on, and that's quick and easy, and we will get to that. So I'm going to remove the overhead, and bear with me for a second. I'm going to cut this one light so this isn't so flashed out. There we go. Ooh, look at that. Okay, so this is just a 1 foot by 2 foot piece of paper. Now, before I get into some of the requests, and I've still got a whole bunch in the book to do, let's throw the art dice one more time. The art dice. Art dice. So these were bought for me for Christmas by our youngest daughter, and I love them. So what we've got here is 3 different ones that I've been going through. This is medium, setting, and a subject. That's what these 3 are. Okay, so we got watercolor isn't going to work in this. Underwater mammal. What is that, a dolphin? Maybe that doesn't work. Let's try it. Landscape mammal. Well, I guess we're getting mammal. Okay, so maybe I should start switching up the dice. Because we've got man-made object. This one's kind of neat too. Food and drink. Well, I want to draw food and drink. All right. Well, anyways, we got this, and we'll start playing a little bit. But yes, Corbin has joined me. Just gonna grab white pencil here. So we've just got a plain old white pencil crayon, and sharpen them up. I love these things. Sharpener built in their butt. That's not half bad. Go ahead, sharpen them. Back in the bottom again. Isn't that kind of fun? These are from Faber-Castell. Faber-Castell? Faber-Castell. All right, so we've got ourselves this large black surface, and the benefit of drawing, I just wanted to draw in pencil crayon today, so I don't know why I was even rolling the medium die, but so we've got we just did an underwater page, so that's why I had to switch up the dice. So we've got mammal and transportation. So I don't know what to do with that quite yet, but we'll give it a go. Let's start by drawing. Let's start by flipping up our image and seeing what that gives us. I'm going to try something here. Yeah, we'll just do a subway. Let's start with a subway. How's that? So I'm going to just start in our first panel here. I haven't laid out the panel or anything like that. I'm just going to start drawing, and then I'll refine it after that. Tighten up the panel, because I'm never sure if I want to do an open edge illustration or if I want to do a closed edge or not. So So we'll just start. So I'm going to do a subway or some sort of underwater ship. And we'll start with that. And in that way, we know where we're going with things. So I was watching, and I don't know if people have ever watched Junji. Oh my gosh, I can't remember his entire name now. Junji Ito, I think it is. And he was an absolutely brilliant illustrator. Passed away, unfortunately. But he used to still do all kinds of drawing workshops where he would just draw with something similar to like a Tombow long brush, like just not Tombow. I mean, he used something very fancy, but that he could charge with ink on his own. And he would do large works, 5 feet square, larger, just crazy sizes of drawings. And I always found that interesting. It's very performative, of course, but he would draw just right out the bag, just try to figure out things as he moved along. Like I'm trying to think about shape of a subway, and as I'm going along, little things are popping in my head, like make sure that it's scaling a little bit so that it's getting larger as it moves along. Things that we forget to do as we're drawing. So he would do this naturally, but in his compositions. But he'd also done all kinds of work in advance, learning how to draw things, trying different stuff out, seeing what worked for him. And I really appreciate that. Like that hard work had result, and that result was it equipped him with the ability to take on these things. I don't know much to the character of the person other than process, because if there's one thing in this world I think it's a good idea to do, it's not to meet your heroes, because you'll find out they're people and it might disappoint you. Wait a minute. I think Corbin's got something to say about that. You want to say something about that, buddy? Yeah, I haven't met any of my heroes. Hey, what are you doing? Hey. Just being silly with my cat. Oh, because he's heading off to work. Safe trip. So, yeah, sometimes when you meet these people that you look at and go, oh, I really like this, and I wonder what kind of person that is. Well, the problem with public figures is that, especially if it's actors, that's not who they are. Those are characters when it's actors. And when people are in the public limelight because of what they do, like, advocates and things like that or whatever. Politicians aren't real, but, those people probably aren't very prepared to spend whatever other time that they have, with people and questions. I don't know. I've never been famous. Even if I was, I'm still eating macaroni. I don't know. Okay, so this is pretty blasé, clunky right now. So I'm going to play in a second. I just want to draw this large. Doesn't make any sense without a second part. So let's get down to it. So I'm putting the the rest of the vehicle in the composition now to help people understand what are we looking at? What in the world is that? So, and then we got the front of house. We'll put that in a second. So here's our underwater doodly-doo. And we started with the pencil crayon, but we're going to add some more elements to it in a second. You know, just to shake it up. Woo, woo, shake it up. So here's a thought. This is what friend Jim reminded me of the other night. The Power Station album. The guys with Duran Duran and Robert Taylor and Robert Palmer and all that. Is 41 years old. Just dawned on me this morning too. Really sunk in. Thanks, Jim. So one of my favorite albums when I was a young teen. It's now 41 years old. Oh boy. All right. If a ruler helps, use a ruler. I should be using a ruler, let's be honest. So I've got on my desk in my studio, and again, I promise to do a studio walkthrough soon. I keep trays like this, and I'm sorry for the flashing, but these are all different things that make white marks, and with different levels of opacity, and you know, it's handy to keep if you're gonna, be using mixed media and stuff like that. I find it's handy to keep something like that around because it lets you shake up your approach to how you're doing things, and there are benefits for some tools over others that you're going to get if you allow yourself the capability to quick access those things. I don't understand people that when you're doing a mixed media piece, they keep everything put away, and I'm like, well, some of them, one friend does that, but she takes out the things that she's going to use, but she's like, I want to keep it more lively. How do I do that? I'm like, stop putting everything away. Or at least have a selection of things ready at hand. Liz says, I'm looking at yesterday's drawing, it doesn't deserve its own page. So drawing today on the same page, just in marker instead of pen. Let the drawing be in. Nice. Nice. I like that. That's how I do it. If people are interested, I can go through the sketchbook that I'm almost done. Someone was asking me about this, about why do you draw over everything, and how do you make any sense of that to do something with it? And probably gave a dumb answer. I don't know. It just does. Thanks, Chris. Thanks so much. That's great. That helps me not at all. So we're getting some more structure to our vehicle. And what I'm going to do next is start defining some glare and some different elements on here. I'm going to try to do something with my parallel pen this week, I think. Drawing ink comes up. So I like that you're doing that, though, Liz. You're not feeling something from what you did, throw something on top of it, see what happens. Mix it up, see what comes out of it, right? So this is an acrylic paint marker, and helps out. I've talked about this before. This is a Fudenosuke pen. I use the black version of these for a lot of inking, and they work grand because they have this wonderful tip, and which is a very, like a brush. The problem I find with the white ones is that they're a stain, and so you put your mark down, and then you have to wait and see how it, wait to see for it to come together. And if the white's not crisp enough, you got to put another line down and then wait for that stain to take hold. It's a little slow moving. So, all right. And I think I might, what have I got over here? Highlighters. Are those going to be of any use? I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll take a look in a second. But I got a whole bunch of different doodly-doo and whatnots around me, so I'll start utilizing some of that. So I'm going through the vehicle and putting a little bit of texture from the side of pencil through here. And down along this side as well. Not so much towards the bottom. We're going to grade that out. And then here at the front, we'll headlights. So I'm now building up the front part a little bit. See what that gives us. And maybe we'll put some glare through on the side of our vehicle. And we'll come through and we'll put some shadowed out glare in there as well. How you doing, Salty? Welcome aboard. Oops, sorry, I flashed really quick. So we've got this coming together a little more now. And so here's our vehicle that we're going to have exploring through here. I've got, what else have I got nearby? I've got white ink and a brush. We can do some squiddly bits with that. See if I can find him. There he is. So we'll try that. We'll throw some white ink down. Again, I'm sorry for the glaring out. See if this helps at all. I think it does. I'm not too sure. I can't open that. Too weak to open my own ink container. Okay, so I'm just going to throw down ink through here as well. There we go. Where are you getting the ink from, Chris? The back of my hand. Sorry, I did it again. Flashed it out, didn't I? And we'll put some here in the front as well. Back here on this window. So now we've got a little more interesting marks and shapes going on. We'll leave that ink aside in case I want to do something else. Oh, thanks, Linda. All right, so I've got another thing that's really handy, I find, are jelly roll pens, because when you're looking for really crisp whites, they are fantastico. It kind of looks really haphazard until you start building up enough. Maybe I'll move it down. Maybe that'll be enough help if I pull it away from the camera a little bit. No, it's still pretty glary. Is that better? I think that's better. Or which one? I'm looking for this camera. There we go. Well, jeez. I really got to figure out lighting in the studio here. Back to this whole ridiculousness again, where so I'm just putting in some of these details and building up this vehicle. I'm going to do some interesting washing and things in the background so that you can see the let me try something. That better? Feels a little bit better. Oh, that's much better. Well, that's what we got. So I'm going to do some washes and things in our background, and we're going to make an underwater world here. And I'll just do it with this brush. Some white ink from the back of my hand. The only place to keep white ink. That's what all the cool kids are doing. Lots of agua. So I'm just trying out this cardstock, this large-scale cardstock. See how much excitement and texture it can, or excitement and abuse it can handle. How many different textures I can apply to it and get happening. Corbin likes it. Yes, I do. Yes, buddy. Just tell me he's back. So here I am again, putting some more blurry business in here. And I'll let that dry out. There's a really cool artist that I really enjoy, Greg Tocchini, and how he does watercolor work. And he's constantly blasting it with a fan, which I respect and appreciate. But I asked Lori one time if she had a hair dryer. Or that's what I meant, a hair dryer for Greg Tocchini. I asked Lori one time if she had a hair dryer kicking around. She said, "Yeah, sure." And I said, "Can I use it?" She said, "Well, I don't really use it, so yeah, go ahead." And then she realized that I'm using it to hair dry artwork. Not what I thought you needed it for. So now you're coming up. Corbin's trying to help out. Okay, so so in our first little panel here, I'm just adding in little bits and bobs and stuff and making our underwater world that they're traveling through. I really enjoyed all kinds of these 60s sci-fi movies where, you know, they'd go inside a human body, and or they'd, you know, adventure undersea and submersible, and I always liked stuff like that. And hi there, almost back. Hi, Chris. Found parking easier today. So I often think of those, you know, with the very 60s hippy-dippy kaleidoscopic backgrounds. The characters are going through. Really, Corbin? Really? Okay, Corbin's helping. Anything you want to tell people? Want me to sing a song? No, that's okay, Corbin. We don't need any of your songs today. He's got a baritone voice, but he still wails. Nope. No, thank you. Lost the plot in my own story here. All right, so now I'm just taking some of this splash that I did of ink and oh, thanks very much. Thanks very much, Liz. So now I'm taking this splash down on ink, and I'm taking this the pencil crayon, and starting to add interesting little bits of and bobs of information here, so that we start to develop an underwater world that our boat is moving through. I didn't get too involved at the back because I'm going to put bubbles and things coming out here. And but first I wanted to play with this. And so I'm just following the contour of some of the value, some of the splashes and separation of value, and letting that inform me of where we're going to put our bubbles and everything. Corbin likes to be in the middle of it, and he's been pretty helpful by not getting too in the mix of things lately. But yeah, he does like to sit directly in the way. Likes to sit on my lap and co-draw it with me, right, buddy? Whoop, whoop, whoop. So I can't complain too much. How many other people get to have a cat that'll finish their drawings for him? That's pretty lucky. So you can see now what I'm talking about the it starts to take an undersea vibe to it, and that's ideally the sort of thing that we want. Like we want for it to help us contextualize our scene and what's going on. It's, you can start taking your white pencil and putting more glares and things now and making color stand out a little bit more. Nice trim lines as we go through the sub. We'll do all that, but I'm just starting with the bubbles. And, so there'll be areas where there's more pigment collected, and there'll be areas where there isn't. And so that range of value gives you a nice, sort of organic, fluid kind of a vibe for our voyage beneath the sea here. So I've got to fit some mammals in here. I haven't entirely thought about it too much. I just thought we'd start off with, taking us down with our undersea submarine here. So I've got a bunch of pages that I need to finish. Thanks, buddy. Thank you. That I need to get finished and posted here. I've been working through them. This is the stuff that I showed at the start of today. And, get story beats on those things. And I think we'll start putting those. I've got a lot to post. So if I can't remember to stay more consistent with the posting part, like even getting them done getting them out on Wednesdays type thing. Or not Wednesdays, I'm so sorry, Saturdays. Well, then maybe I'll just start posting them more like just in bulks on my Patreon page there. So some of them, I'm really quite pleased with. Not that I'm not pleased with the other ones I hate. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just, some of them I'm like, oh, wow, okay. That went in a way that I even surprised me. So. And I'll often ask Corbin, what do you think of this one? And he'll often tell me, no, put that down. No, that's not how I would have done it. I would have put more cat treats in the background. So here's our underwater world, and I'm going to continue some of these little elements that, kind of look like different colored water or something in the water or something. I'm not sure, just a current, who knows what, but we'll keep that going from underneath the sub. So we'll follow these directional lines through and do so in this way. Corbin, stop licking my hand. This problem with some studio mates is that they lick your hand while you're trying to work. If that ever happens to you, I hope it's a pet and not some strange situation. It's I don't really get to complain too much about my co-workers in the studio. This is less and more. I got carried away at the drawing. Very fun playing around. Well, that's it. That's the whole thing, right? Like you'll discover things, even in things that you don't like, and you might find that I don't like this. I'm not going to utilize it for anything. It's just going to be something I'm learning from. You've already got great benefit out of the process, and you've got great benefit out of maybe some marks that you'd put down while you were doing it. That something that you want to explore, putting those marks in something else again. So, yeah, there's lots of takeaway we can get from things. So I'm just getting a little bit more of these things in. We'll put the bubbles in the back. So I hope that, as people jump in and join us, little things like how to stitch together larger images so you don't lose them, or how to, you take, all these disparate elements that you've got in different sources and coalesce them into something coherent, I hope those things are happening. It looks like the spaceship of this TV series V. Oh, wow. The 1980s one or the contemporary? I never saw a contemporary one. And I meant to. But there's made lots of little departures and changes from the original show. But never got around to it. Mr. Hip Hop Happening was too busy. And so was I. So just putting some more little bits of business in here. Arranging it up. The 1980s version. There we go. Yeah, with Robert Englund, the guy who played the scary movie Freddy guy. He played the nice lizard dude that was with the Resistance. Him and the Beastmaster. Mark Singer, folks. That's a Mark Singer reference for those of you that don't know who Mark Singer is. He was in V and the Beastmaster. And I'm sure a great deal of other things I can't remember off the top of my head. So now I'm putting in all kinds of interesting little marks and giving a little more character to our vehicle. And I'm still using white marks on black. I haven't put any black marks down to tighten it up in any way. Sorry for the glare. We're doing the best we can. That's the problem with working on black, and then my big old silly hands getting in the way is that it throws off the light all the time. So I should put a black glove on. Maybe that's the answer. like a ninja. I got to put on one of those two-fingered gloves. I've got a couple of those for when working on the digital, and no, I always forget to wear them. Yeah, Mark Singer was good. Watch TV in the 80s? Oh, yeah. One of my favorite things ever, speaking of 80s television, one of my favorite things ever is that my wife's little brother, when we moved her parents from the farmhouse her dad built himself and that she lived on, like that was the house that she grew up in, one house only. When we moved that house so that they could, retire into the city, the great big city of 30,000 people. And as we're moving the stuff out in the one shed, I found, with the box still saved with it, a big wheel that her little brother rode around on from Chips, California Highway Interstate Patrol. He had a Chips big wheel, so he could pretend to be riding around on this motorcycle. That was a lot of fun. Not only did I not know that existed, he still had the box. Where's Dad's saved boxes? So that, bonkers. Bonkers to me. So, all right. So there's the front of our vehicle, and coming together. And now we just got to put. Yep, most TV shows came here. Dub Chris says right now. Did you watch Chips? I still call Tom Selleck, and anything that he does, I still call him Magnum PI. Why is that, Chris? Because I'm feeble-minded. And, once you get used to somebody being something, in this case, Tom Selleck being Magnum PI. Just like Mr. T being B.A. Baracus. He always had people come up to him because he was on a TV show where his character was afraid of flying. He always had people come up to him whenever he was on a flight and say, I thought you were afraid of flying. Because they didn't know to separate the television character and the main guy. The remake with Liam Neeson and Fergal Copley and I can't remember the other actors' names. One of them's I don't know. So it was really interesting. I thought it was a lot of fun, and there were little cameos by some of the other actors in the show. But yeah, I like the A-Team. You want to weld together a tank? It only takes you 20 minutes out of a half, or 10 minutes out of a half an hour. And then you can fight an entire drug gang. I learned that from the A-Team. All you need is a welding torch, which apparently are everywhere in the United States and elsewhere. And there you go. Homemade tank out of a school bus. Silly business. Okay, so here's our thing. I'm trying to separate our vehicle from the background. And so putting that little bit of black line up at the top there, I think helped out a little bit. And then we'll put some more, this fun little trailing. It's just so that makes that really thin black line there pop a little bit more. Okay, so as I go back across to the back of the vehicle, that brush that I grabbed and put a bunch of white pigment on, I'm gonna throw a bunch of shapes at the back, and then we'll let those dry as we swim on. See what I did there? So setting up the sitting area for book talk and art visit videos and stuff like that. So as we have people come and join me here in the studio, we will be sitting in front of the at the little setup area I have with a couple of wing-back chairs. But on next Monday, less than a week from today, Chris will be joining us here on the stream, showing us some of the things that she's working on and she does. And I'll ask her all kinds of questions like, why does art exist? And she'll say, no, stop that. Stop being a crazy person. You know why. Okay, so there's our big, bit kicking out the back. Kicking out the back. Yeah, so that when Lori comes and talks about books, and she's got some new books that she's reading, when she does that, we'll have a little space set up just for that. Shoot a video of it, and there we go. So that way, it looks a little bit tidier. So while this ends drying, I'm just going to put a little bit of details in the front part. And so when this scans, there's going to be a lot more clarity in the marks being made. It is hard to, like I said, I got to sort out how to keep the light from being washed out on it without basically sitting here in the dark. So looking forward to it. Let's get the Chris x2 festival started. Yeah. We'll call it Chris to Chris. Chris's talk about exciting things in art. And I'll say, what do you think about this, Chris? Do you think that this is the way art is? And she'll say, no, you were wrong, Chris. And I'll take alternate viewpoints. And people will be like, oh, that was confrontational. No, that's not what's going to happen at all. You don't look too well for that. There was a funny thing that used to be on The Daily Show way back when Steve Carell and Steve, whatever the Steve is, and the Office guy and the guy has a talk show. So they were both correspondents on The Daily Show at the time. And so he would want them, go and do this thing and then give me a report on it. And, you guys look at it from both sides. But they agreed on everything. So the whole, they couldn't really settle on taking alternate sides because they were very similar in opinion. And they were basically fighting over who got to like it and who didn't. Because they both liked it. And they were just so silly. So I'm putting a little more texture or smoothness and then allowing texture spaces and stuff like that on our vehicle. And again, as so it just kind of takes time to build up some marks and try some different things out and see what works. That's what I'm trying. So there's you can get an idea of it. It says I'm in an open space emoji or an open space office. I cannot, so I'll use emojis. What do you think of that, Chris? Exclamation point. Or big X. Wrong. So here's our boat coming together now, our underwater vehicle. Or V-ship, as Chris puts it. So, I was trying to say this. Well, I'm starting. Okay, we're getting there. So I think what I might do is I'm either going to invent some underwater mammals. Maybe I'll do a riff on, I don't know if I've ever done this. Has anybody ever heard of the belief of the aquatic ape? This is one of these things. It's mere people, right? What if we never left really the ocean, and we, apes ventured out into the ocean and adapted. So I always found that a nice idea, but yeah, nonsense. So maybe we can do with our mammal dice. Maybe we'll do an aquatic ape civilization. That's who they're going to go and chat with. We'll see. Let me see if this works. You see some more of the texture because my hand's in covering the glare. And then it washes out, unfortunately. So maybe that's what we'll do. So here's our vehicle as we're moving to the back area. I was talking about this the other night with some friends. One of the things that I like the most about the entirety of the Alien movie franchise with the monsters and all that is Ron Cobb's contribution to it all. Ron Cobb is a designer, and so there's this whole system of visual markers through the ship that work as identifiers or signs and says this is sick bay, this is engineering, this is the way to engineering, and I really like that. I thought that's possibly one of my favorite things about it, that gives it a sense of authenticity over other science fiction movies. And they started putting it back into the new projects that they're doing. They started utilizing that symbolic marker system, that symbolic language that goes throughout vehicles and equipment. I thought that is cool beans. So very exciting. But take a look it up. Look at Ron Cobb's marker designs, like little. This is the design for engineering. This is the design for computer. This is navigation. This is radiation. Do not go here. Found a typewritten letter on blue paper written in the 80s. It was how communication was done then, right? Crazy. When I went and took typing in high school, the whole place was abuzz with excitement. Well, maybe not the whole place, but the typing class, we got electric typewriters at our school. Very exciting. And then that school closed down to make way for an adult education center in the city I live in. So I went to the high school downtown, which is where I eventually took accelerated art classes and learned how to draw them pictures, paint and so forth. But we had keyboard class because this school had 16 computers. Wow. What? The big time. So it had like a raised floor because all the cabling from the computers ran to the hard drives in the next room. Oh, it was crazy. So it's all gone now. Surprise. But it was really interesting that, I took keyboarding then. And so people are like, you're really good at typing. The secret weapon, of course, was actually taking typing. I don't type too bad now, but my wife goes like this, and it's a paragraph, and I don't know how she does it. She types 160,000 words a minute. So here's a little separation between the habitable area at the front and this back area, which is kind of like the rockets. And we're going to add something here at the back too. So there's our little underwater ship coming together. Just put that there for now. So there's our underwater ship coming together here. And yeah, giving it something anyways. Typewritten letter on blue paper. You know what? The thing that I'm always surprised by is when kids discover lined pieces of paper with ink marks all over them or pencil marks all over them. Not even on a tablet. And it'd be something as simple as a grocery store list. What is that? One of the best things ever discovered in Babylon is during the time of the Sumerian people, they used to press little letters into wet clay, and then if you bake it, it would last forever. And so on the back of one of these important ledgers was a handwritten, hand-pressed note by a dad complaining about his son being lazy. And this is thousands of years old. So, that's been a common trait amongst parents for a while. And, I don't understand my son. So fun. Pre-Rome, pre-everything else. Basically, my son is lazy. Okay, so I put the little engine bit I'm going to put on the back here. And I'm sorry the camera again is so washed out. When I scan it, you'll see all the little scoodly-doos, combinations of marks and things to make our space ship, or I guess submarine ship. You know what I mean? Yeah, so there's the gist of it anyways. We'll put our rocket in, and then we'll do our big churned up watering behind here. Oh, rocket, fan, whatever the propulsion is. Kids don't write but type at hypersonic speed on their phones. Oh yeah, it's terrifying. And you know what the worst is when they got that little sound on it. So it's like, what in the world? You think you got a chipmunk sneaking up on you. About to attack. Angry chipmunk sound. So I'm just starting into some marks that we're going to build up on, but this is us putting in our bubbles and our, and then most of it's going to move up to the top like so. And, because bubbles rise. So as it goes to the top of the, I'll move this over a little bit more. There we go. So all of this that's going on is going to have, it's going to give propulsion to the craft, but then in its wake is all kinds of disturbance, bubbles, and so forth. Business on the bottom as well, but most of the activity will be on the top. And again, I'm looking for these little changes in value in the ink wash that I put down earlier, and that's sort of giving me a blueprint for where I can put some of these marks for the churned up water here. So it's a, if there's one thing I can show you today is try that technique out. It's a good way to do clouds too, folks. First, just take a wash and put down some, rough light clouds, like a basic, and then build upon that. So just filling in a little bit more of the little lines moving across. Yeah, I'm trying to identify that this is maybe water. I mean, ideally, I could put something in front of it as well, and that might help to make sense of the fact that this is within this environment. But, we're good with what we got here. This way we can more easily identify the context of our next scene, because the next scene to me is going to be somebody looking out the window. Sure is dark down here. What do you mean? You can't see anything. Like what? Yeah. One of those really great conversations. Well, what's there to see? But this is on a black piece of cardstock. If I'd done this on a gray piece of cardstock, then it would leave open for me more option to do dark as well as the light lines. The light lines, you need to leave out spaces for the dark areas. If I'd done it on a gray paper, then I could also put in textures and things using inks and pencils, or darker ink washes as well. So, but we use this paper. That's a thing about going in without a net and not having anything planned when I start. It lets me be open to opportunity like that. And sometimes that opportunity has its pluses and minuses. Like if we used gray, it would have been different things that we could do, but there's different things we can do with the black surface as well. But there's no, if this is what I started with, this is what I'm able to utilize. So that's fine. I'll put this little line here, connecting these two bad boys. So I hope that this makes some sense for folks. Nice. I've just remembered another show I watched. The Man from Atlantis with Patrick Duffy. Patrick Duffy. You know what I'll always remember Patrick Duffy for is the end of Dallas. Because for me, the end of Dallas is radical. There's a television show or television drama called Dallas. It was about rich oil family and all the ins and outs of competitiveness of the oil world, I guess, and all the tawdriness about these rich people. Anyways, but the best thing is this one character who wanted to try a couple other projects wanted off of the program. And so the character, she got killed off. And then the show seemed to jump the shark, and it just took all kinds of weird and crazy departures in this last season. And the focus was on different characters. And the younger brother of the oil magnate, played by Patrick Duffy, at the very end of the show, Patrick Duffy died. I think Patrick Duffy died. And at the very end of the show, because the wife wakes up and she goes, "Oh, what a horrible dream." And he comes out of the shower, like he comes out of the washroom, in a towel, and he goes, "What's that, hon?" And she goes, "I just had a terrible dream. Just went through like the whole last year and it was all crazy." And he goes, "It was only a dream." It's like, what did they just do? It's the first time where you have like a big popular drama like that do something so bold and daring, and it's like that's fantastic. There was a television soap opera in the 60s in black and white called Dark Shadows, which was all about vampires and witches and things that go jump in the night or bump in the night, as a real departure from things like your regular old non-supernatural soap operas. It didn't last very long, though. And but Dallas, there was nothing preparing you for anybody for that. And my mother was watching it. It wasn't a show for me. I didn't really care about it. And as my mother's watching it, and she goes, "Wait a minute, he died last year." And I'm like, "He what? Oh, that was awesome." Just knocked me out of my seat that they were that bold to do that. I'm like, I can't believe that. Is the whole show like this? And she goes, "No." And I'm like, "Doesn't even matter." Just because what brave thing to do, to really chop up everything that had been happening, But it's still one of those legendary things in television about, can you believe they did that? That's very nice of you. Hey, out drawing and studying painting at Tim as well, listening to your drawing session. Hey, thanks, man. That's cool. The old Tim, the old Tim Horton. Good old Tim, friend of all Canadians that like coffee. That's cool. Welcome aboard, Chad. So I'm just embossing some of the bubbles, make them pop out a little bit more. And, just to add a little bit more interesting stuff to the background and to give it a little more complexity and move the eye around so it's not flat. You know what I mean? And then we're going to be doing more bubbles throughout here, because as this propels the water, you'll have water churned up underneath as this thing pushes the ship through the water. But all up above is where bubbles are going to try to escape to the surface. So you can see how I started to doodle it here. And we'll just enhance that a little more as we go along. I need my Java. Yeah. there's something to knock off of a bucket list. Going to go have some coffee in Java. What? Yeah. So I'm not completing the circle around half of the bubbles that I'm putting in. I stop 2/3 of the way, or doing complete lines, just because bubbles, aren't always just complete circles here. Well, they seldom are just a nice little round solid circle. So here's there's a part of me, I think I'll do this with pencil crayon, that wants to take some of these marked areas and add additional little bits of color. Yeah, see, that makes me happier than if I'd done it with a marker or a jelly roll pen. Then the PM your address if you want a happy mail. I'm always working on something. Oh, that's super cool. Jeff Dodge. You all want some coffee too? If Java got your we are. So here's some of those little darker lines, just to, again, add some more interesting complexity to the background. Now, all right, well, I know that how exciting is this, taking X amount of time on this drawing of a little vehicle moving through the underwater, but it's the one adding a little bit of complexity and stuff to the composition. Gives me two things. I have the space for the title, or I have the space for introductory text to the story. And then if I go into the next panel and I draw someone's vantage point from inside the vehicle, you will understand that they're inside the vehicle, because we established that this is a vehicle moving in water. If we'd just drawn somebody going, boy, the water sure is deep outside, you wouldn't have any context for that. Like you would, sure, you would appreciate that the water is deep outside, but you wouldn't understand where they are, what they're in, where they're going. Like it's a short step away from, instead of having to describe this thing, we've just described it visually. So I'm going to put some marks on it for, lines going through it, and little decorations in a sec too. So, but then, I can focus on what's going on inside, silly business. We can make bad jokes too, like somebody burns themselves on one of the pipes and somebody else said, "Oh, did that sting, Ray?" Excuse me, are you in Canada too, Linda? Canada, cool. The great village, the great melting pot. Yeah, so now I'm going to just focus on the bubbles in the back of the ship for a quick hot second here, and how much time I got? 1:24. Give me a few minutes and more, and we'll do this. And so I'll be posting in the morning again, and but tomorrow is Wednesday.
Yeah, we know, Chris.
So I might stream during the day, but I will for sure stream at 8 p.m. tomorrow night. Lori had a really great idea about breaking it up and doing an evening one. Happy Mail to Illinois took 13 days. It wasn't bad. Seems going to Texas is taking longer. Oh, Linda's in Houston, Texas. Houston, Texas. There's is it Texasville? Is that the movie by Peter Bogdanovich? Is it called Texasville? Or I really enjoyed that. And then the sequel to it came out 20 years later with some of the same actors. And it was called The Last Great Picture Show. And again, by Peter Bogdanovich. Just really cool. Really great films. At one point, the daughter of the main character, she walks over with her little guy and she drops him in the pool. And, the dad, what are you doing? Jeff Bridges, he dives into the pool, grab a hold of the little one. She's like, I'm trying to teach him to swim. He ain't going to swim unless he gets in the water. That scene has stayed with me forever. I think that came out in the 1980s, that film. Peter Bogdanovich. Aside from that, Peter Bogdanovich to me has always been a talking head about Hollywood pictures, but those two movies he made are just phenomenal. Sybil Shepherd got her start there. Randy Quaid got his start there. One of Jeff Bridges' earliest ones. Cloris Leachman is in it. It's they were great pictures. So you can start to see how the bubbles are our skinny dipping pool. There we go. You can see how the bubbles are starting to coalesce a little bit here and become a little more intricate and developed. And the whole idea is to have, as them cascading off of all of the churn generated by this thing and just all immediately rising to the surface. Mariah is doing a fish journal, so I sent her some fish and seaweed elements. There you go. I want to do that in a wave pool. There you go. Churning up some bubbles. We had a place in London here called Wallace's World. Well, it's called Wally World, but I remember taking the kids to it years ago. It was so much fun. And then we went to the wave machine. It's this large pool where a wave would cascade and put everybody up in the air. And man, it was so cool. But it's, if you're on a floaty or something, you're hard pressed to stay aboard, because that thing would rock you. Okay, so you get the idea here of all the bubbles and things coming off. And like I was talking about with this, where you allow yourself to follow the value shifts from the loose ink wash that you've put down. And, that way it lets you really find all kinds of opportunities and elements that you might not have come across otherwise. And then again, it's the same sort of picking and choosing some of the areas to highlight and to feature a little bit more prominently, to start to really expand on what's going on in our environment here. And in this case for us, it lets us try to make this, look kind of water-ish. And it lets us make this look kind of bubbly, And all the lines that I'm using are organic soft lines for the environment, and juxtaposed with angular lines of the vehicle separates the two. This is all geometrics, right? But triangular based geometrics. The only thing that's got any rotundness to it is the engine. But even still, we've put a ridge line on that. And because this is so small, but this is so prominent, you just take it as part of it. Whereas doing the watering behind and then building up all this water, bubbles and so forth that are coming out from the back, it should really clearly separate the one from the other, ideally. And then we can do little things like having a little bit of an outline, not rigidly placed as like a solid opaque line, but it should start to help differentiate all this churned up water, bubbles, air, and so forth from the background. It should. That's a good idea, Vern. But, again, adding a little more as we go. And it saves us all the work about outside scenes now for the rest of the page. So there we go. I got a good start on this, and I'll finish this all up and post it for tomorrow. Just a whole big conversation here. I'm sorry, Jaws. Yeah, oh, jeez. Oh, thanks, Chris. So I'll get this. So this is a page. This construction paper. I'm terribly sorry. Cardstock. So I did a drawing on this in gray last week, and it took 4 scans in my scanner because my scanner is largely set towards 12 by 14 is the largest image I can get on. So I have to do this, take it in pieces, and then stitch those together like I showed at the start of the stream today. So this is a similar kind of thing. Because I'm working on such a large thing, I'm going to do that with this as well. So it's just a little bit of momentary labor, in addition to the norm, but it's worth it because this is a lot of fun to draw like this. So, Chris is off. Thanks, Chris, for coming out. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. I appreciate it. And I hope, I don't know, maybe there's something you picked up on today. Just going with the flow. Get it? Going with the... Olivier said my Rangoon was divine. Anyways, so that's about it for me, folks. Thanks very much for everybody for coming out. Thanks for coming in and joining in, and for moderators Chris and Linda. I really appreciate it. And I'll be back tomorrow. I may be back at noon, but I will definitely be back at 8 p.m. EST. So I'll let you know. I'll put up a thing to say if I'm going to be at noon or not. And I'll put up a thing to say I'll be there at 8. So thanks, gang. Go out, tell some stories, make some pictures, have some fun. But like I showed in the last few days, all of these scribbles and doodles and things that you do in your different books, and all the things that you're exploring and learning how to draw, and they're not perfect. So what? There's things that you can do. The one page that we posted today, these 2 elements are from said page. So don't throw stuff out. You can figure out ways to put it to work for you somehow. Okay? All right. That's it for me. I'll see you later. Have a great day. Bye for now.